Turning now to the war in Ukraine, where Russian drone strikes overnight hit a Ukrainian port in the country's southwest, damaging grain silos and warehouses, according to officials. Video taken from the Romanian side of the Danube River showed large explosions and anti-aircraft fire being shot into the sky. The attacks come as a container ship left the Black Sea port of Odessa today. It is the first to use what Ukrainian officials have described as a new temporary corridor for merchant ships. Moscow has not indicated if it would respect this shipping corridor announced by Ukraine last week. Following the latest from London is CBS News foreign correspondent Imtiaz Tyab. Imtiaz, good morning. What more do we know about this latest Russian drone attack?
Hey, Wendy, good to be with you. Well, what we know is that two waves of Russian drones in the early hours of this morning hit that strategic port on the Danube River, which, as you said, is near the border with Romania. Now, Ukraine has two main ports on the Danube called Reni and Izmail. Both have become extremely important to the country's grain exports since, as we've been saying, Russia's blockade of Ukraine's Black Sea ports and, of course, since Russia's withdrawal a month ago from a UN-backed agreement that allowed grain stock safe passage through the Black Sea. Now, in a separate statement from President Vladimir Zelensky's office, there was no casualties from the attacks, but as we can see from the images of the aftermath, several metal walls of the port storage facilities have been damaged, scattering grain and sunflowers, which are, of course, very important commodities. Wendy.
This overnight drone attack comes as the UK's Ministry of Defence said in its latest intelligence update that Russia has started to deploy domestically produced one-way attack uncrewed aerial vehicles. Now, is that a signal Russia is moving away from importing Iranian-made drones?
Yeah, well, following on from what we're hearing from here in the UK, we're also hearing from a leading research group that it found evidence Russia had begun making copies of these Iranian Shahed attack drones and is now using them in combat against Ukrainian forces. Now, these researchers traveled to the capital Kyiv last month to inspect the wreckage of two drone attacks that were used in combat in the southeast of the country. Both drones appear to be the Iranian Shahed 136s. But they reportedly contained electronic modules that match components previously recovered from Russian surveillance drones. Additionally, the materials used to build the recovered drones and the internal structure of their fuselages differed greatly from those known to have been made in Iran. So it does appear that Russia has been able to make its own version of these kamikaze drones. Now, this, of course, is very concerning, and it's still unclear if these Russian versions of the Shahed can carry up to 80 pounds of explosives and have the range of around 600 miles like the Iranian ones. But as we've been saying, very concerning for Ukraine, as Moscow appears to be producing these very dangerous weapons on their own.
Yeah, concerning development. Ukraine claims to have recaptured a settlement in the Donetsk region. What's the latest on that?
That's right. This is a village called Urzhany, and we understand that they have been able to nibble away at really the perimeter of this village. Now, this village is in the Donetsk region, as we've been saying. It's part of a cluster of small rural settlements that Ukraine has declared liberated since early June when it started its push against Russian troops who control big chunks of the south and east of the country. Now, there's no immediate comment from Russia, but according to reports, fierce fighting raged near the village, and Russian units were apparently trying to prevent Ukraine strengthening its positions. Now, this village captures would indicate that Ukraine is really pushing ahead with this offensive, but you know, we have to really consider the reality here is that Ukraine has been trying to push ahead with this counteroffensive against Russia now for a few months, and it's progressing a lot slower than it wanted. Wendy.
All right, Imtiaz, thank you for all of those updates.
Pleasure.